So, dude, 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 check out this mask. Dude, I wanted you to check out this mask I got. I'm so stoked about it. It's got a cooked turkey on it. I love turkey. Turkey's like my favorite, man. Yeah, so dude, I know you're super stoked about your mask. I'm stoked that you're stoked about your mask. But hey, check out this video on my phone. I wanted to show you how they kill the turkeys before you get to cook the turkeys. Ugh, dude, don't you know this is why people hate vegans? You guys are such radical extremists. So wait, you really think it's more extreme for me to show you the truth about your actions that the industries won't show you versus pay these industries to unnecessarily rape, enslave, abuse, and kill all these innocent, vulnerable, defenseless animals? Well, no, dude. I just think it's obvious that you activists are showing us this content so that you can be judgmental of us. And that's why people hate vegans, because you guys are just also judgmental. So wait, you think it's more judgmental of me to judge you for your actions that are objectively immoral versus how you judge animals by how they're born and think it's okay to rape, enslave, and murder them? Alright, so as you can tell by the title, in this video I'm going to be talking about why it seems that everybody hates vegans. I mean, we obviously have to be the reason everybody hates vegans. If everybody hates vegans, it's clearly because we as vegans are doing something wrong, right? Well, in this video I'm going to tell you exactly why that's wrong and why it has nothing to do with vegans and why everything that people say vegans are doing that's making people hate them is exactly what vegans need to be doing to get more people to go vegan. It's my premise that the reason people hate vegans is the same reason that drug addicts hate people educating about drugs. Drug addicts in class, when there was a class about teaching about drugs, they hated that shit. When people tell you when you're smoking a cigarette that it's killing you, that's just annoying as hell. Like, let me just kill myself, right? Well, that's all fine and dandy if you guys want to kill yourself with a cigarette. But as soon as there becomes a victim involved, then I have a moral obligation to stick up for the victim. As the person I am, I feel like I was put here to stick up for the weak and the vulnerable. The 56 billion animals murdered each year are weak and vulnerable, and they have no need to be suffering for your addictions. So, as some preface here, I was a drug addict up until the age of 16 years old. From 14 to 16 years old, I used to snort, smoke, and pop Percocet pills. The same ones you hear your rapper singing about in their song, the same one that killed half the most famous rappers in the past 5 years. Those were the drugs I was on as a kid. So I know a little bit about addiction, and I'm one of the few people lucky enough to have overcame that addiction. Now, I say I'm lucky because only I gain the selfish benefits, sure, my family, but I'm not killing my family. I'm not causing direct suffering. They're only suffering by empathizing with my suffering. So you could say there's a moral wrong in being addicted to drugs. I think otherwise. I think if you want to go do drugs, that's your choice. I really wouldn't advise it. It's not going to make your life better in the long run. But yeah, so I've been this year 10 years sober. So I know a little bit, not 10 years sober. I still smoke the Mary Jane. Still have a drink of beer every now and then, but I have not taken a prescription pill, Adderall, Percocet, anything, ecstasy, nothing of that nature have I taken in the past 10 years since I got out of rehab for the first time. So I know a little bit about overcoming addiction, and I know a little bit about the psychology of addiction, a lot of which that I learned after I got sober, and I started trying to uncover what's actually internally going wrong with me. And I was looking into, well, okay, why am I trying to fill this void in myself? What's going on in myself? And I started reading psychology-related books. I started watching psychologists' videos on YouTube and taking as many free college-related courses on the topic of psychology as I could that felt relevant to learning what I needed to learn. And so what you'll learn is with these people that hate vegans, there's literally no way of doing activism that you could do that would not make them dislike you, because their ego wants to hide from the fact that they have a problem. You see, when I went into rehab, the first step of the 12 steps of addiction that they make you do, the Narcotics Anonymous, in my case, was the book that I followed. The first step they make you do is admit that you're powerless over your addiction. Now, that's arguably the most important step I took in the 12 steps, was admitting that I had a problem and I was powerless over this problem. Now, when we're telling people that there's a problem with the way they're eating, we're already putting into their subconscious pieces of information that threaten their addiction. Their ego thinks they need this drug, this meat, this dairy, this blah, 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 whatever's giving them pleasure in this chaotic world full of suffering. They think they need this to reduce their suffering. And so when we start talking about things that suggest that it's not necessary to eat meat, dairy, and eggs, we're giving them hints to their subconscious that they do not need to continue indulging in this addiction. Not only that, but when we start giving them the evidence that there's mass suffering happening on their behalf that is unnecessary, this causes a very big sense of cognitive dissonance inside of the listener. This listener does not want to accept the fact they have a problem. They don't want to see a problem in their way of life. They want to continue on with what gives them pleasure. So by us simply telling them the truth, of course that is going to cause them to dislike us up until the point that they want to live in reality and seek the truth so that they can have a better life as well as make people and animals around them have a better life and stop inflicting unnecessary suffering on those among them. I think that if anybody's ever had a drug addict in their family, they would know that whenever you talk about their addiction, talk about how their addiction's affecting you as their family, their friends, their peers, their coworkers, when you start talking about that, you get a highly emotionally charged response. You don't get them rationally explaining how they don't have a problem. They go from here emotionally to here, and they start yelling, might get physically violent, they might storm out of the room, but what they are not going to do until they want to do is accept the truth. And so, as vegan activists, we can't do anything about these people. And I'm here to say that these are not the people we should focus on changing, but we should expect resistance among people like this. We should expect that it's obvious that there's so many people addicted to these animal products, and sometimes they're going to lash out on us for doing exactly what we should be doing to help people stop being addicts. And up until the point that these people want to accept the truth, you can guarantee that in their mind, they're going to have to create this concept that we as the vegan activists are the bad guy. You can expect them to virtue signal about how we're forcing our opinion on them, how we're extremists, we're radical, when we're simply calmly and logically explaining the truth about their behaviors. It's no different than when I was a drug addict and when my parents would start asking me questions that were getting to the root of my problems, I would scream at them and go out of the house, call up my friends, and I'd go get high, and I'd forget this all happened, and then the next day, I'd have to deal with them trying to push the truth on me, force their opinion, which is more logical and grounded in reality than mine. And you can expect that they got a very, very angry response to them trying to give me the truth and try to help me out of my addiction. So I think I could go on and on about this topic, but it's really a simple thing. People are addicted to meat, and if you give them the truth, they're going to be upset. Now, furthermore, on this topic that I was getting at earlier, we should not focus on these people that are grounded in their addiction to animal products. There's nothing you can do to change these people. They're going to need a health scare. They're going to need some sort of emotional attachment to an animal to happen that just goes beyond what we can do. And I certainly can tell you, you shouldn't be getting them a dog or anything for these people that don't care about animals in hopes that they get an emotional attachment to animals. It's not worth the risk of that dog for the slim chance they go vegan. Furthermore, I'd like to explain that what we should be focusing on vegan activists is grabbing the low-hanging fruit. Right now, we're at a time where we take up 1 to 3%. I'd have to check the statistic of what the percentage of the world population is vegan. Now, what our goal as vegan activists should be is to get 51% of people to go vegan. It doesn't matter who. Don't go after the hard ones. That might gratify your ego that you got a hard person to go vegan, but you need to grasp the low-hanging fruit because right now we're trying to grow our army of people that are vegans. We need more people on board with us. And once 51% of the population is vegan, are you going to, Are you going to think that we are not going to vote into action to ban meat? So what we need to be doing is getting that 51%. And if 51% of the people on this world have went out of their way, changed their actions, and these are the true high moral standard people, then all the people that don't have morals are going to be forced to change because laws will be put in place. The same reason psychopaths are forced to not murder people or they're forced into a cage. So I just think it's ironic that these people think we're forcing now, because just wait, people. All the anti-vegans watching, if you get to live, if I get to live until the point where 51% of the world is vegan, you're going to see us really forcing our opinions on you guys. Ugh, dude, don't you know this is why people hate vegans? You guys are such radical extremists.